Mountain Dew, large.
Diet.
Did I say diet?
It comes to $9.30.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Oh, no, she's on the house. Don't you know who this is?
You tell him, Tony.
Check the wall, son.
Yeah, check the wall, son.
She was the star of the 2004 games.
Honey, I know you've been stealing from my truck again.
But that was a long time ago.
No more allowance.
You're cutting off my allowance and you want me to stop stealing? What kind of a sick monster are you?
Have you thought any more about working at the gym?
I'm not a coach. I'm a star. I was on Dancing with the Stars. It's not called Dancing with the Coaches.
Now, as luck would have it, the fate of American gymnastics is in her hands.
OMG, Hope and Gregory, I've been praying that we would run into each other. Maybe we could exchange phone numbers or something and we could text or FaceTime or...
What needs to be the strongest for you to be a champion?
My body, my endurance, my mental constitution.
Your mind.
But I said my mental
Come on. Here's the deal, Twitchy. I'm the pilot. You're the
co-pilot. Got it.
Gonna say stewardess.
Well. Hope and Gregory. If you let Hope train Maggie, you'll be throwing your daughter's career out the window. I won gold and silver, and everyone's talking about your bronze.
It's men's gymnastics, which, come on, no one gives a crap about. Lie on the floor. Wipe that smile off your face.
Are we praying? I love that. Let's hold hands.
You, get off. Buzz off, Twitchy. I feel you trying to get a gap shot. Wow, welcome to the big time.
Is it true that you tape down your breasts?
Who told you that? Matt from Sneaker Galaxy?
No.
Carl from the bar?
No.
Gas Station Dan?
No.
Stacy from Quiznos?
Jeez, no, God, stop.
Shouldn't we be using my Tchaikovsky piece? Coach P said it was a classic.
She'd also say that about a full bush, but we all know that's disgusting.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Guys, thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on the movie's release. This is fantastic. It's such a wonderful comedy. I love it.
Thank you.
I had a chance to watch it last night, and my first question, really my biggest question, is where does this character come from? How did you develop the voice, develop the idea? I mean, I could assume that it comes from watching one Olympic trial or something and be like, what if that person cursed a lot and was actually a really bad person with that high-pitched voice? Is that where it started?
The idea originally just started, my husband who co-wrote it with me, we were just talking about celebrity in a small town and what that can do to the psyche. And then we always thought the idea of the bronze medal, we're huge Olympics fans, and we always thought it was funny that when the announcer would say, they'll have to settle for the bronze. Like, it's the third best in the world. It's amazing. So we started discussing what if someone hung their hat on the bronze and someone who is still stuck after those games. Because so many gymnasts have gone on to do amazing things and had these second chapters, but what if someone didn't have the tools to be able to do that?
And the town that she lives in, for the most part, enables this sort of arrested development.
Yeah.
So what was it like? How did you come up with this town and set it in, I think it's Ohio,
Yes.
right? You're all doing a sort of strange Ohioan accent, which I didn't really know existed.
Yeah, my college roommate was from a small town around near where this was shot. And one of the first weeks of school, she said to me, I'm going to be absent. I was like, what did you say? Absent. So that accent, and when we got to town, we were really excited because the person who met us at the airport said, let me help you with that. So it's a very specific accent. But yeah, we set it in Amherst, Ohio. In the script, it was originally Butler, Ohio. We Googled smallest town, Ohio, and Butler came up. And then when we were location scouting, we found this fantastic town, Amherst, and it looks like a backlot. It's a wonderful little town. We wrote in the script the kind of town where you drive through it and the mechanic at the auto body shop puts down what he's doing and waves at you. And the minute we drove into town, the mechanic at the auto body put down what he was doing and waved at us. And my husband and I looked at each other with like a tear in our eye, like, we're home.
You have that diner that she goes to consistently, and whenever you're sort of out in front of that diner, it feels like you can see the whole town in that one stretch of like 2 blocks in the middle of town.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. It was a good find.
That's it. Correct.
Thomas, do you want to talk about developing your Ohioan accent for the movie as well as your Twitch?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I always thought, like, oh man, are we doing it too much? And there was, time and time again, Melissa quoted some things said. I remember getting out of a bar, and they were like, you going in there? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, best bar in Amherst. And I was like, well, okay, that's, there's no such thing as doing it too much, because that was crazy what they just said. And yeah, I'm, the facial twitch, yeah, it's part of my character. You'll see it in the movie when you see it opening tomorrow in theaters near you.
Fantastic plug. Good job. You can You can step.
I feel
down
like I
now,
gotta
Thomas.
plug it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, guys.
Brian, when you're doing that accent, you have actors doing that accent. Do you worry about going too far, or I mean, with this, the farther they go with the accent, I would say the funnier it is.
Too far. I think that's not this movie. I think the intent was to push things. Yeah, I remember sitting there, the first scene, when we were shooting the first scene, famous first scene. And then all of a sudden she starts speaking, and I'm like, wow, we just committed to this accent. You're like, that's it. And I remember going, this could really be bad or good. And that's kind of like life, right? So anyway, from there, we just stuck with it, and it was good. And then everyone did speak that way around town, especially when they were drunk at the bars later on at night. And it worked out. And then I think varying degrees, shades of gray, I think in terms of the accent that we did with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, we decided for Maggie that she was new to town, that she had been moving around from town to town, so she didn't have the accent.
I had learned it, though, because I was supposed to have the accent.
Did you show up knowing how to do the accent?
Well, yeah,
You're like,
I
"No,
literally had my
sorry."
parents reach out to friends that lived in Ohio and send me voice recordings of them saying random sentences.
And then we
literally the
decided,
night
let's make it
before-
that she just moves around instead. No, I'm just kidding.
You want to make now the time that you show off your Ohioan
Yeah, do
accent?
it,
Let's
do it.
hear it.
Let's hear it.
Well, no.
Oh, this will be fun. Do it.
Oh, I passed.
No, she moved around.
I'm not putting you on the spot or
She didn't
anything.
need it. She just needed a little tinge of the accent. Yeah, because she was supposed to have moved around because we decided that was part of her character. Because if she had lived there, then she would have known about Hope and she would have been completely in that world. And we wanted to make her where she was more.
But you made that decision the night before I started working.
Well, we only had 2.5 weeks of prep or whatever, 3 weeks of
zero
prep on the
rehearsal.
movie. So a lot of decisions came down kind of the night before.
It was a relief.
Shooting from the hip, as they say. Real run and gun. To just quote some, Rambo-style analogies. We were really, shooting a rocket grenade at a helicopter, if you know what I mean.
That's an appropriate analogy for this movie. Rocket grenade at a helicopter. I like that one.
And it was. I just want to add. I was really happy that I didn't have to do an accent. I just have to play one note, which was I'm surrounded by idiots at all times.
What's so smart about your character and the way that you do it is that you're in many ways your own worst enemy and a villain in itself, so you need someone to come on to be an even stronger villain in some capacity, and that's yours. So you have to kind of make her likable.
Last things of this relationship is when Harry met Sally. That's like, this is his Sally, in a weird, twisted way. At least that's how I always looked at it, is like the two of them were just caught in this dance that never seemed to end for either one of them. The Olympics stopped, but the competition never did.
And he knows how to sort of manipulate her in more ways than one.
Yes. Such as cocaine. Works every time.
Now, do we? I don't know about this. Do we leave it as a surprise, or do we talk about the infamous scene in the movie?
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one between the
yes,
two of you. How much of that do we talk about?
We could talk about it a little.
There's an impressive sex scene where they are doing some incredible gymnastics while fucking.
Yes, that's it. Gymnastics.
So how did you come to write that scene? Was it like, this is just what two gymnasts would do, how they would have sex, duh?
I draw from life experience.
No way, really? No.
Well, my husband and I, in the original we outline like crazy whenever we're writing. In the original outline, it wasn't in there. We just knew these two characters were going to get together at that point. And then when we were sitting across from each other, writing the dialogue, we looked up at each other with this huge grin on each other's faces, and we're like, all right, this is what needs to go down. They're two world-class gymnasts getting together. So we wrote it as the most crazy, epic gymnastic sex scene ever. It was bold, underlined, with a ton of exclamation points. And then we sort of bullet pointed the moves that we wanted to see. And then we had a fantastic...
Rings in it's ridiculous.
Thank you. Yeah, there's actual rings in the hotel, which they were in the actual hotel room because it was a handicap accessible room.
Right.
You could go there and rent out this room. and reenact what you see on screen.
We stayed there overnight, actually.
We did to rehearse.
How much? What was?
By the way, you're all welcome.
What was blocking out the choreography of that scene like?
Well, we wanted to keep it practical sex. In terms of that, we wanted anyone at home that could possibly go off and do this themselves if they were in amazing shape. So we really wanted to,
We get into some trouble there. We don't want anyone getting hurt,
Well, there is a disclaimer at the end of the movie. But to keep it real and actually make it choreography and make it pretty in terms of not raunchy, because I'm saving my personal porn director thing for later in my career, that try to keep it elevated, and that's what we really wanted to do. And then the comedy was evident, when we sort of worked out the choreography. Christina Basket kind of put together this amazing choreography. And then it was, finding the hotel room and the passion, keeping it very grungy and real in terms of the passion between the two of these guys. And that, combined with actually, ultimately there's other twists and turns in that scene too that come about. So the hotel room was fun too. Like you had to limit it to, ultimately we found that the only place you could perform that sex in would be a handicap room at a hotel. So. It turns out they actually do have rings on the windows, which was really convenient too. So anyway.
Sebastian, do you want to talk about what was going through your mind the first time you read the script and saw the most acrobatic sex scene, epic acrobatic sex scene?
I mean, excitement. No, I just want to add that the funny thing about that scene, because I think that was the first or second day of the shoot. I don't know. It was definitely, I think, maybe my first. It was my second day. Yeah, I was still getting to know the crew. I mean, it was very, after that, it was like, but
is that kind of the way to do it? Like at that point, you just got to dive in. Like there's no hesitation.
I do think that this pretty much is how porn is made, because you show up and you're like, I remember going like, I don't know if I should do push-ups or should I do something else, because you just wanna be there and with everything. What was your question? Right. So the thing about reading the script for me was I was just laughing out loud and quoting it to my friends, and they were laughing. And then, I remember the next day just waking up and thinking, oh, this would be really cool about, if the character did this or that. So just that kind of excitement afterwards is usually like a good sign for me that.
Haley, your character her humor comes from, and I think her sweetness comes from her naivety. She is very naive and doesn't get what's happening to her at all. Can you talk about playing that role and what you thought about when you read the script?
Well, when I read the script and how I thought about playing the role were two very different things.
The accent thing.
Yeah. The accent thing. But, I have a really innocent, I kind of am a pretty innocent little girl.
Not anymore.
Not
worked with us
after this movie. But, yeah, I just tapped into that, and I've always idolized gymnasts. I love gymnasts. I'm obsessed with them. So I've watched so many videos of Shawn Johnson. I see how bubbly and they're so focused on the gymnastics, in a real serious way. But in this movie, it was kind of portrayed more of it's just so sweet. All she knows is this world. It's this little bubble she's in, and really anything that Hope could say or do, she couldn't do wrong because I'm so obsessed with her. So that's what was so fun about filming it and in the movie when you watch it is the contrast.
Yeah. When you're developing a character like Hope and you're telling the story, you still have to sort of hit a certain emotional beats. The audience has to be along her journey and sort of be with her growth, but at the same time, you don't want to betray the humor of it, which is balls to the wall, for lack of a better term, excuse me.
Many balls on the wall.
What did you ever find any trouble developing that, or get into tricky territory while you were writing, where it's how much do we sort of dampen her bitterness and to make a certain amount of to get a sweet reaction from the audience, or can we find that sweet reaction within her bitterness at the same time?
I think it was about finding the sweet reaction within her bitterness. It was important to us that we stayed true to this character and what her journey was. We didn't want to put a big bow on it in the end, in an hour and a half, have her become a totally different character. People go through many, many years of therapy to grow that much. So we wanted her to take some babies, not even baby, they're more like embryo steps. And
No, you have.
I love watching footage of embryos walking. My favorite thing to do. Very pro-choice. That's awful. I've made a terribly tasteless joke. I apologize to the internet and the studio audience.
You sort of let that one get ahead of you, huh?
Really did. I somehow took attention from you and made a disgusting joke. You're welcome.
Embryo steps the minute we.
Oh yeah. Tons of footage. Now I can't get out of it.
I'm not going to save you. I'm sorry.
You know, a lot of those allegations by the pro-life. No, and then
I'll take over from here, Thomas. I'm sorry I let it go for too long. You have some real gymnasts in the film, right?
We do. We have Dominique Mucciano. Yeah, incredible, right? She's
So hot.
So hot. She really is, and she's just as lovely in person as you would want her to be. Dominique Dawes we had, who's amazing, right?
You have a really funny scene with Dominic Dawes.
That was Dominique Mucciano.
Excuse me, I
no,
don't
that's
know your gymnasts.
quite all right. Yeah. But she was such a great sport and let us have a lot of fun with her. And
What did gymnasts think of the movie itself? Were they sort of capable enough to see it as one story and not any kind of like condemnation or representation of like the gymnast community? Is there that?
I think so. Dominique, both Dominiques, and we also have Olga Corbett in it. They were all really supportive, and our gymnastics coordinator, Christina Baskett, was an elite gymnast herself, and then we had a whole slew of just amazing body doubles who were all these amazing elite gymnasts. So they were all really on board and super supportive. So we're all huge gymnastics fans, so I hope that they come out and support and appreciate it.
Because the movie really does beg the question of what someone does after third place in the Olympics. Not always do they get a coaching job when they're a gold or silver. What does someone do when the early part of their life is so devoted to one thing? Like Olympians, their lives are only devoted to winning that medal. And then it kind of ends if they don't win it. Then what do you do?
It's true. You know, I think this movie does really explore second acts, second chapters in lives. And if you look at so many of these Olympians, they've all gone on to lead these incredible lives. I went down to like a Google Wikipedia rabbit hole looking at what these people have done, and they've gone on to coach so many people after they've won their medals or they've done humanitarian work. They're all these well-adjusted, incredible people. But we wanted to explore what would happen if this person didn't have the tools to do that. And in Hope's case, she's been enabled by her father. She doesn't have the type of...
The great Gary Cole.
The great Gary Cole. He sends you all his best. We love him so much. And she just doesn't have the skills to move on, and she's just not well-adjusted. So this really explores more what happens when you are this type of person who can't re-engage with the world when you're stuck.
What I love about the movie is that it's not necessarily about the second act of her life. It's that time between the first and the second act. You know, she's like making those embryonic baby steps towards the second step. Thank you.
You've seen the footage.
Let's turn it over to some questions from the audience. Does anyone have any questions out here?
Hi guys, I have to say I'm a big fan of all of you, so I'm a little nervous. I kind of want to call you Bernadette, but I...
Go for it.
No.
We're a big fan of you.
No. So my question is for you, Melissa. Yeah. Was your character inspired by any real-life gymnasts?
There's no one in particular that it was inspired by. My husband and I, who wrote this script, we love gymnastics and love that world, but there wasn't a particular person in general. Although, looking back on pictures, the bangs are very, very Tanya Harding-like.
Not a gymnast, but...
Not a gymnast, but an Olympian.
Evil in her time, in many ways.
Yes.
She brought...
Hey, man. Nah, man, that was her ex-husband or whatever. She had nothing to do with it. You should see a fucking documentary once in your goddamn life.
She brought up Big Bang Theory really fast. When you're doing a show like Big Bang Theory, which is in many ways very family-oriented, do you sort of thrive, or are you questing after something like this, after doing something a little bit raunchier, a little bit darker?
I think really we were, when we were writing the script, it was about telling the story we wanted to tell. So it wasn't I'm going to do this and be raunchy to do something different from Big Bang Theory. I love playing Bernadette so much, and as an actor, you always want to challenge yourself to do other roles. And so this was just something that we're really excited to put out there as a story we wanted to tell.
Absolutely. Next question.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Melissa, this is for you, and then also for Sebastian and Haley and Thomas as well.
So everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, Brian.
Hey, wait.
Sorry, Brian.
Wow.
When you were writing the movie, did you have specific actors in mind for the role? And as you guys, when you were cast, did you see these roles and think, what have I gotten myself into? Or was it just like, this is exactly what I want to be doing at this moment?
I met all of these guys once we started the casting process, and they each created these characters that are far beyond our wildest dreams, and just took these people that we had on the page, and when we started working with them on set, Winston and I would look at each other off camera and be like, I can't believe they're bringing him to life. This is so exciting. So the only one that I knew beforehand was Gary Cole. I worked with him on one of my very first jobs when I moved to LA. He played my boss in a show that never aired. And I loved him so much. And we were about 3/4 of the way through the script. And I said to Winston, oh my gosh, Gary Cole would be so great in this role. So we sent the script to him, and we were so overjoyed when he came back and said that he would do it.
I mean, I was ready to go as soon as I met with them and I sat down with them. I was hoping that they were going to go with me, and so there was a couple months before I think I found out. But I just wanted to have an opportunity to work with Bryan, who's I'd seen his short film and I was blown away by that, and just Melissa, and I think at that point even you guys were talking to Thomas. So just being surrounded by these guys was going to be a win for me.
And when Sebastian came in for when we met with him, he dropped just one line. It was the "What are you doing? You're winking at me right now." When he says that, a line that he says to Twitchy, and I was so Winston and I kind of looked at each other because it was the first time we ever heard that line out loud. We're like, "That's him." He was just so fantastic. So we're thrilled with all these guys.
Do you want to talk about getting involved in the movie? What was the auditioning process like for you?
Well, my audition, I really screwed it up. Like, I was really late. I still, to this day, feel really bad about it and don't know why I was cast in the movie. I was real late. I literally, parked somehow. I'm so confused. I still don't know how to drive around LA, and I've been living there for 5 years. But I somehow had the wrong direction or the wrong address in my mind, and then ended up, when I got there, I was 30 minutes late, and then parked on a complete other street, and then ran there, and then didn't know the lines, and started over and over, and
we knew she was the wrong.
And then that was
really clear. Quite clear at that point.
This was essentially your audition. You got there late and you did this, which is adorable.
Yeah, there's
they were
really,
like, you're cast.
Yeah, there's really no end to my story because I still am confused. I still don't know.
Fantastic.
You're still trying to get to the audition right now.
Well, yeah, I really, mentally, I still don't even know the address, where I was going, what street I was, I don't know.
She was absolutely fantastic. And it taught me a lesson as an actor when she came in for that audition, because she started and then stopped and started and stopped, and she said, I'm sorry, I just need a second. And then on the third time, she did it brilliantly. She was so fantastic, just hit it out of the park, and when she left, we're like, that's Maggie.
Thomas, what about you and getting into the film?
I just, I read the script. I thought it was hilarious, and I wanted to be involved, and it just so happened the character of Twitchy was appropriate for me. Just gender and age appropriate. And then I actually kind of tanked my first audition. I came in there just I don't know, underprepared.
You were angry.
Angry, just vehemently angry at you.
He hit me.
Personally. Just
you didn't like my car.
Yeah, you're driving a Lamborghini. I think that's really ostentatious. And so, thankfully, I think someone in Sony came to bat for me and said, "Hey, you should see him again." And I
came back friendly,
a little bit more friendly, and probably better prepared.
And he was wonderful, and we read together, and he was so spectacular, and what he brought to this role was just so special and so layered. And same thing when he left the room after that reading, well, that's Twitchy.
Yes, I agree. I think after you see the movie, you'll wholeheartedly agree that I'm the best part of it.
All of the roles themselves, the supporting roles are so hard in this movie because they're all punching bags for her. So everyone had to have that strength. And in that, those auditions were critical that they could do that, and turn that around. And the talent level, and Gary too, included in this, it's such a fine line.
Well, it's a fine line because you want to stick with her. So while they're punching bags, there has to be something that the audience
underneath
can kind of side with.
And they're
so
pushing her along. He's pushing her along, and that's along. Embryo or no embryo. That's just the way it is. Sebastian's, pushing along. So that's like.
What was that? I'm sorry.
That's a little dance.
Oh, okay, got you.
It was the fetus, the embryo.
I don't want to give away any moves. Okay.
That's how Bryan has sex. He just shimmies in front of a woman.
It's Catholic sex.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. This is from Melissa and Sebastian. First of all, Melissa, I have to say I absolutely love you as Bernadette. She's my favorite character. So I was wondering, if Bernadette and Bucky Barnes participated in the Olympics, what event would they participate in?
Oh my goodness. Are they participating together or are they separate?
I mean, if you want them to, go ahead.
What about?
Is it
we could do the.
What's that?
The freestyle, the floor routine.
Yeah.
Where you get to choose between what is it, ribbon and then the ball.
There you go.
Yes,
the ball.
that's good.
The ribbons.
The ribbon.
I would do the ribbons.
Mm-hmm. And I would just dance around him. That's an Olympic sport, isn't it?
Next question.
Hey guys, happy St. Patrick's Day. You're definitely the crowd I'd love to party with.
Thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
The movie looks absolutely hilarious, but I'd like to know some funny moments that also happened offset.
Any wild pranks played on set, guys?
Oh, God.
Thanks.
The pranks we played. We're not together, but we saw each other there. Cedar Point. If you're ever in Ohio, God, go to Cedar Point.
So fun.
Incredible roller coasters there, just real fun. And then you can pop down south to Amish country, which I did with my lovely wife, and just really, pump the brakes on life, get some homemade jams and butters, and artisanal crafts.
Do the Amish resent you when you go down to their
country? Are you
country?
kidding me? I'm God amongst them. No, they're just like another. What are they called? Normals.
They're just crossing out his name right now.
Yeah. They're definitely watching AOL Build.
Was there? I mean, I know you guys. I talked to you before, and I know you shot the film really fast, right? It's a
22
low-budget
days.
feature. 22
Run and gun, a grenade to a helicopter, calling it back. Remember the Rambo reference? Yeah, fuck this shit. It's fucking waste of time.
When you're shooting a movie that fast, do you have time to have that much fun on set, or are you just trying to really, get through it?
We were having fun while doing it. It was a euphoric experience for me. It was one of the best experiences, and we didn't really have time for necessarily hijinks because we were doing sometimes 1-2 takes per scene, but we had a great time while doing that.
I feel like it was really. I would hear you laugh a lot behind the monitor, and then that was definitely hard to keep a straight face. Just hearing Bryan, because then he's happy, and you're like, you just want to crack up.
It's a laugh track now in the movie, actually.
It plays through.
It plays through. But no, there was
Only
no
one
time.
man laughing.
There was no time. We literally would run from place to place. I mean, that's literally run. That's how little time we had.
Say run and gun?
I would say run and gun.
Shoot from the hip,
Yeah,
kind of like
I would say so.
kind of launching a grenade into a helicopter kind of thing.
You did some pretty funny videos, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I had downtime, so I mean, I went to town on a private video that I sent to them as a thank you at the end of the shoot.
What was in this private video?
I was listening to this song, the Grandmaster, the Message by the Grandmaster, or whatever, like for some reason, and I kept thinking about Lance like dancing to that song in his like locker room, and then I just had my poor assistant film it.
When will you release the tape?
Some of it is on Instagram.
Yeah, there's a part of it on Instagram. It's fantastic.
Where can we follow you on Instagram?
On you follow me, right?
I know. I'm offering you a plug, bro. You gotta plug social media, man. Snapchat, Twitter, the gram. I know you only have like 1 million followers, but you could always use more.
I'm well aware. Yeah,
Just
I'll take a page out of your notebook. I don't know.
Melissa, when can people see the film? How can people see the movie?
All right, it's in theaters tomorrow nationwide. Thank you all so much.
And it's so funny. It's such a great movie. It's so great. Guys, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go see the movie.